Welcome back. We're here with season 4 of the MyT Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Tomar Taylor, and I've been conversing with the mad podcaster. And quite frankly, he's very mad. We're going to try to find out why, so we'll take some questions from one of our live Twitter followers. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and where you're from.
Hi, my name is Felicia, and I'm from Hialeah, and I just don't understand why you so mad. Like, what are you so mad about?
Yo, first of all, you can't be asking me no questions. You know what I'm saying? Yo, who the fuck is you? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can't be asking me no questions. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why I'm mad. I'm gonna tell you why I'm mad. Like these hosts out there, they in these $1 million studios, they dropping hot takes. You know what I mean? They got tea, they got all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still living with my moms. I'm making podcasts. I ain't made no money yet. This is my 4th season, yo. This is my 4th season, and I ain't made a dime yet. This dude dropped one take. He make wild shows. That Cold Pizza show, it was cool. It was I mean, I got more John Blaze in that. I mean, I got John Blaze takes, and they not even recognizing it. They not even recognizing it. And fuck is that, yo? Yo, who is you to be asking me any question? Yo, who is you? I got to talk. I got to tell how I feel. I got to talk about sports how I see it. This goes out to you. This goes out to you. And you. And you. This goes out to you. This goes out to you. This goes out to you. And you. And you. Evening, and welcome back to another edition of the MyT Sports Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Dallin Take that, Taylor. Woo! Back at it like a sports fanatic. Yes, folks, you heard it right. This is season 4 of the MyT Sports Podcast, and you know how we like to start it off. I'm going to tell you first, it's a lovely day down here in South Florida. It's about 76 degrees. It's the 22nd day of August. And man, have I missed you guys. And I mean, like, literally, like, overabundantly miss you guys. I mean, maybe I should get a couple of things out the way. Season 4 is we're going to go back to the nitty gritty. We're going to go back to the rugged and raw, right? So we're not going to play around with all this social media and this YouTube and stuff. That may come a little bit later. It may come a little bit, somewhere down the line. That's not what we're going to do right now. All we're going to do is sit here and talk some sports the only way we know how to talk, because there's a lot of sports for us to talk. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm excited. I hope you're excited, because this has been the summer of fun. So, you know what? Without any further ado, you know what I say. Regardless of the time. Regardless of the time, you know what's coming. Regardless of the weather. Hello, you play to win the game. It's always a good time to talk some sports. So, let's start talking. Woo! Back at it like a sports fanatic. Yeah, you heard me. We got a good show for you today, because it's been the summer. And like anytime you come back from a summer vacation, like back when we was in school, you remember back in the schools, like back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. And the days I sit and wish I was a kid again. You come back from the summer, and unfortunately, the teacher always wants to know, what did you guys do over the summer? And they always want some kind of retarded essay, right? So some kind of long, ridiculous essay. But we ain't gonna worry about that. But we are gonna reflect, because you know what we had over the summer? We had some summer polls. We had the NBA Summer Moves. We had WWE SummerSlam. We had PPW Summer Meltdown. We had the NBA Summer League. I got to witness Tiger going Tiger. We gonna get into some fantasy football. We gonna talk about some preseason football and more. For the first episode of season 4, man, do we have a full plate? And I'm telling you right now, I'm hungry. So Let's start eating. Let's start yapping. Let's bring ourselves to the table because you know what? I figured, right? I figured that if I'm gonna start off this season the way I did, especially with that intro, I hope you guys like that intro, right? I figured that the only way we start off this first season is bringing it back to the classics. I told you we're taking it back old school, right? So we're gonna mix a little bit of my old school, a little bit of my new school, with a little bit of everything that I've learned. But I hope you enjoy this journey with me today. So
First of all,
I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of feel like Jay-Z right now. I do feel like Jay-Z just a little bit. Because, you know, like I said, like, I didn't do anything over the summer, but I feel like, I needed, like, this summer. I know you gonna miss me. You know, we've been together like Nike Airs and Chris T's. S-Dot with them polo creases. 50, you know, like, I feel like that. Like, I feel like there's something that's missed over the summer. So, let's start with what set the summer ablaze. Because if there's one thing that you should have learned over the summer, because it's the same thing that I may have learned over the summer, and that is that you can't spell LA or the Lakers without LA Lance Stevenson. Yes. Listen, if you haven't been paying attention, the Lakers have very slowly, very fast, been building a contending squad. I don't know if it's been a championship squad, but a contending squad, a squad that can contend in the West. And it is all centered around one man, around the myth, the man, the Instagram legend, the Mr. I will blow in your face, Lance Stevenson. Like, I don't know what news you heard, but this is big news to me that we get opportunity for Brooklyn to go to LA. Learn from the great like Magics and Kobe. You know what I mean? Take that young kid Ball and the whole Triple B family. Lance Stevenson is going to take that Lakers franchise to the new era that they're trying to get themselves into. And listen, I won't be surprised within the next 3 years if Lance Stevenson is still on that team. Within the next 3 years, that team is winning a championship. And it's all going to be because of Lance Stevenson. Like, don't get it twisted. Don't fall short from it. Don't let them misconstrue you. Don't believe the hype. So you know how we do here. We want to give congratulations to Lance Stevenson for making it over to LA because he got the call from the great one himself, Magic. And Magic was like, yo, we really would like you to come to this team. Like, the players here really want you to come here. And when Magic gives you that call, you kind of have to respond. Now, there was a thing about Lance being in Indiana that I enjoyed. But man, have you seen Lance work out now? Have you seen Lance lately? I mean, he ain't just out there doing the kiki. Do you love me? Are you riding? He ain't out there doing that. You know what I mean? He ain't doing that no more. You know what you see now? In the gym. 8-minute abs. In the gym. You understand? We're talking about rock boy abs. You know what I mean? Rock boy abs. That's what we're talking about with Lance Stevenson. We're seeing him, which is a drill that I didn't even think of, is that to work yourself through swim moves and the pressure of man coverage, not only do you do it with a defender on you, but you do that shit with a big-ass medicine ball. Lance Stevenson, if he keeps working like this, he is going to take this franchise, the Lakers franchise, all the way to a national champion, all the way to an NBA championship. At minimum, Lance Stevenson is going to be able to take the LA Lakers to a Western Conference championship. And not to mention, he's added some pieces along with him. So I just don't want to make it seem like Lance Stevenson just went there by himself and all of a sudden this is the reason why the Lakers are a contender. No. That's not the only reason why. It's the full combination of the move. It's Lance Stevenson going there. And then to give Lance Stevenson help from the point guard position, they get him another playmaker and they get him Rajon Rondo. And then to get somebody to also help him with that scoring load a little bit, you know what I mean? They get him one of the purest scoring small forwards, or one of the small forwards that proved last year that if he needs to be put in that number one scoring role, that he can do it, whether the defense is trying to double team him or triple team him. So even when he's being focused on as the number one option, he realized that he can still put up 20, 30 points in the night. And that is your boy, Michael Beasley. So you add Rajon Rondo, you add Michael Beasley. So now Lance Stevenson, a combo guard. You understand? A guy that can ball handle and can score. You get him another ball handler and you get him another scorer. That takes so much weight off of a guy like Lance. And then now you add a guy like JaVale McGee in the center. Now listen, normally, you know what this sounds like? This sounds like an episode. Not even an episode. This sounds like the beginning of what should be a season. A whole entire season reality show of Shaqtin' a Fool. When you talk about acting guys like Rajon Rondo, JaVale McGee, Michael Beasley, and Lance Stevenson. Especially when you add the biggest clown of them all. Like let's not forget, because we don't want to leave anybody out. You understand? Like, we want to make sure like the biggest clown of them all, you know what I mean, gets his just due. And we want to make sure that we also let him know that he is also on this team as well. James has joined this team. So, to Lance Stevenson, to JaVale McGee, to Rajon Rondo, to Michael Beasley, and James. Now, James is one of those guys. He's a Swiss Army knife kind of player. If you're unfamiliar with who James is, James is a Swiss Army knife kind of player, kind of like Lance Stevenson is. You understand? Ball handler, defender, scorer, passer. He can do a little bit of it all, and he will really help. Will also help Lance out. So James is not a bad thing for this team. And also James has that kind of influence and work ethic that he could also help a lot of those other young guys come along and also help push Lance. Well, I'm telling you, I can smell it in the waters. That Lance Stevenson may get his first championship ring if he sticks with the Lakers. But then it makes me come up with a bigger question, right? It makes me pose a bigger question. And I may wait for you right before the break to pose this question. Because we talk about what happened with just one team so far, the LA Lakers. For some odd reason, I feel like this team is also missing J.R. Smith for some reason. Is it just me? Is it just me? But speaking of moves, right? Melo went to Houston. And not for nothing, nobody bat an eye. While an injured Boogie Cousins goes to Golden State, and the basketball world takes a collective shit. Pardon my French, but Tony Parker's a Hornet. Kawhi Leonard and DeMar, they trade places. It's like trading one boring person for the next. But at least, like, Kawhi Leonard brings with him, 3-point shooter, Danny Green. And I guess my question for you guys, and it may be the first poll question that we pose on the fourth season of the show. If James wins a third championship with a third franchise, are you ready to put him in the category of Kobe or MJ? Ponder about that. We're going to take a break. as we, hear some words from one of our family members. You know, we'll come back. It's Mighty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Tomatela. We about to get real. You ready to start drinking? You ready to start dancing? You ready to start your weekend off like a boss? Then say no more. Give yourself the world treatment by partying with DJ Seven. Wednesday. Bar Louie in Boynton, West 95 off Gateway and Congress. Thursday. Lucky's in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Friday. So nice we had to go there twice. Capone's in downtown Fort Lauderdale. That's not it from your Miami Heat DJ. Whether it's birthdays, weddings, bar mitzvahs, corporate parties, or professional sporting events, DJ Scepter puts a royal touch on everything. For reservations, just go to bookings at djscepter.com. That is BOOKINGS at djscepter.com. And we are back to the Mighty Sports Podcast. I am still your host and one and only Talent Taylor. If you are listening, not only do I thank you for listening, that means season 4, and I know you guys are like, yo, what's the consistency? Actually, there's very much consistency, right? It's just that things just look differently. If you go to mytsports.net, this is where you'll be able to catch the podcast. Now, let me tell you how things have gotten revamped. Right, as of right now, there is no more MyT Radio. If you wonder what MyT Radio is, don't even worry about it right now. That is a different platform for a different reason. Well, look up mytsports.net, and you will find the podcast. Now, every single Wednesday, while we are hosting here live, or while we're doing the podcast, you guys will hear me live on the air. This is one of the many places you can hear me. Now, as you guys already know, been doing this for a while now. So this is also available on MixLR. This is also going to be available on TuneIn Radio to listen live. But best place to do it is right here on mytsports.net. So not only can you listen to me live right here during the podcast hour, that's 8:07 every single Wednesday, but you'll also get all of the old shows here as well. And while you're here, take some time out. Go check out our other affiliates. DJ Scepter, XF Martial Arts, Multiverse Video Games, Yoga of My Eye, HHG Gaming, or Hybrid Hype Gaming, I should say. The G is for gaming. Check those people out. Smoky News. Take time out. If you're looking for some makeup, go buy some stuff for something for you, girl. Go check out, ruggedglam.com. Makeup that fits that everyday life. So, as we continue, yes, this is the new place to find the podcast. So if you listen, I do want to thank you, because right now I've narrowed it down. There's no more, so there's not any more confusion. You could try to find me on all the places, but best place to find me, mytsports.net. You hear the show live here every week, and you'll catch all of your past favorite shows as well. And also, I'm going to start incorporating a couple of things. Like I said, you'll be able to preview some information for some of these DJs that I know. But if you want their downloads, if you want to catch their tracks, you're going to have to pay for those. You're going to have to pay for those. I can't give that away for free. Like if I put Bushy B's album on my thing, actually, I can't benefit from that. I have to find a way to get him those funds. I digress. But have you guys thought about what I said? Have you guys thought about what I said? That if James wins a third championship with his third team, now granted, within these 4 years, I only believe he's gonna go 1 for 3, and that's if he's lucky. He will go 1 for 3. But let's go back to some of these moves, as I said, because as I told you, Melo went to Houston. And this is the team that we all thought that he should have went to last year. Nobody thought that he should have been in Oklahoma City. We thought it was a poor fit. And then we saw what happened there. And then we were like, and now you're looking at him this year and you're like, I don't know if he's going to be a good fit in Houston. But they made room for him. And now things are coming back full circle. He's now coming back to play for D'Antoni. D'Antoni, D'Antoni was part of the reason, had put together a system that actually had him in a winning environment last. You understand this, right? Now, granted, people are gonna say it was the last time that he had Mike Brown as his coach. Is it Mike Brown? No, Mike Brown was Cleveland's coach. Who's the guy I'm thinking about? Mike, what's his name? Mike something. Well, I might draw a blank here, but we'll move on. He's assistant coach somewhere. And that coach ended up taking Mike D'Antoni's. He was assistant coach D'Antoni, but he ended up taking Mike D'Antoni's offensive system, incorporated his defensive system. That's when the last time the Knicks had a 50-win season. But before then, D'Antoni had them trending upwards. So let's not get it twisted. They just weren't crossing that threshold because somewhere along the line, defense wasn't being focused on, per se. Allegedly. So now, Melo's finally where he should be, in Houston. And we're hoping that this Chris Paul, Melo, Harden, Capella, and all this other, matchup, is actually helpful towards them because they lost some parts. They lost somebody in Trevor Ariza that actually won a championship besides some of these stars. So that's going to be interesting. But what's really has hypnotized the basketball world is what has gone on with Boogie Cousins going to Golden State. Because Boogie Cousins goes to Golden State and everybody loses it. Everybody completely loses it. They take a shit. Literally take a complete, absolute NBA shit. It is fucking ridiculous the way they took a shit. I got no games on in the back. This is just me and you today. And granted, I understand why everybody is upset, why everybody was mad. But you have to remember, and you have to take into account, Boogie Cousins had two stigmas going into this offseason against him. One, that he's a head case, right? And he's difficult to get along with, allegedly. And two, now he's injured. And everybody went through the cycle and passed on him. And now, when a team that has, because they've been winning championships, goes and says, well, you know what? We'll offer you a contract, but if you want, it's going to be at the veterans minimum. What are you expecting to say? And not only that, you have to take it the veterans minimum, but when you come back, you don't have to worry about being any pressure of being the man. You gotta come up more. You gotta come down. You gotta come up more. You don't have to worry about any pressure of being the man. Because we already have Stephen Curry. We already have Kevin Durant. We have the men. We're gonna most likely be in a good position. So you don't have to worry about carrying the team, being a number 1, 2, or even 3 option. We got Clay for that. You just gotta come in here, get healthy, get back in basketball shape, and when we make our playoff run, be who you be. Be who you be. Now, let me ask all of you this. Is that's not what you would do if you're in his position? If you're in the position of Boogie Cousins, right? Like seriously, let's be honest for a second. Let's be real. Let's just be honest. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest. Let's just be real. If you were Boogie Cousins and every team and you're coming up for free agency. And you know that you've been balling. You know literally that you've been balling, right? But you got injured, obviously, but you've been balling. And we're not just talking about this year. You've been balling your whole career. And granted, yes, people have said that you're supposed to be temperamental. But you go to the last place you go to, there are no signs of you being temperamental. There's nothing of the such. Actually, everything that comes out states that you've been one hell of a teammate. And yet, you can't get offered a contract. Yet, you can't find a home. This is what happened. So think of this as you now. And now the best team in the league comes and says, you know what? I got an offer, can't refuse. They godfathered you. Listen here, Boogie. I have an offer that you can't refuse. This is what I'm going to do for you. Today, on Rusev Day, I'm going to offer you the bare minimum. I'm not going to offer you the $30 million that you deserve. I'm not going to offer you the lengthy contract that you should get. What I am going to offer you, though, is $5 million and an opportunity. An opportunity to not just be somebody, to not just be a contender, but to also be a champion. To be a freaking champion. You rest up. You take care of yourself. The pressure, you forget about it. Being the man, you forget about it. You're no longer the man here. You'd be lucky if you're number 3. When you come back, you'll be a new man. You get yourself in basketball shape. As you know, we go deep. We go hard in the paint. So what you're going to do here is that you're going to play for us. And you're going to play for us in the most important time of the year. And you're going to ball. You're going to ball so hard, motherfuckers are going to try to find you. And when they come to try to find you, you would have averaged 20 points plus in the playoffs. You would have a nice big fat ring on your middle finger. And when they come to you, you'll be able to say, fuck you, pay me. What do you say when that is put across your table? You do what Boogie Cousins do. You say, you know what? You're right. That is an offer I can't refuse. And the way all of these other 28 teams, even the team I just came from and the team that I previously had before that, has disrespected me. Yeah, let me come here. Let me get healthy. Let me come back during the most important time of the season and let me boogie, yoogie all over them. And when they come looking for the best big man in the game, I'm going to say, fuck you, pay me with a championship ring on my middle finger. How you like me now? How you like me now? That's what Boogie Cousin was offered. And if that's not appealing to you, I don't know what more you want. Because basically you're saying, like, you know what, he needs to give me some more. That Boogie Cousin, that Boogie Cousin should have, or Golden State at that matter, should have settled for less. As if this was your team, that you would want them to settle for less. And this is the other thing. So on top of you assuming that, like, say, this is you, right? So on top of you saying, like, hey, let's pretend that this is you for a second. Let's also pretend that this is your team. Is this not what you want your team to do? Would you not want your team to at least try this? Or at this point in time, are you mad? No, cut the music. Because I'm not mad. So you like you heard the guy in the beginning of the podcast. Yo, first of all, tell me why you mad, son. Tell me why you mad. Are you mad that it wasn't your team that thought? I'm not just talking about any of your teams. I'm talking about even some of you playoff contending teams. That your team didn't think to say, hey, Boogie, you take the vet minimum. You don't have to worry about any pressure. Come back and Boogie in the playoffs. And then listen, man, come back when we guarantee you a ring. Nah, your team ain't say that. Because also your team isn't a team that can guarantee he's going to win a ring if he comes and Boogie's in the playoffs. Stop being mad. Get over it. There's going to be some competition. Be happy for your young talent. We're going to talk about this East. East is wide open. We're going to have some words from another one of our lovely, lovely sponsors.
Come on down to XF Martial Arts where you'll be able to take part in learning all the disciplines you need to be an extreme freestyle martial arts machine. Whether it's Taekwondo, Karate, Yoga, Summer, Spring, or Fall, XF Martial Arts has it all. For more information, class times, and dates, don't wait. Go to xfmartialarts.com and reserve your spot today. That's XF Martial Arts, located at 2875 South Congress Avenue, Suite D, Delray Beach, Florida, 33445. Or call 561-276-1774 and ask to speak with Sensei Cohen to reserve your free trial week. Just tell him MyT Sports Center. XF Martial Arts. With fun, discipline, and fun.
And we are back to the MyT Sports Podcast. I'm still your host, the one and only Talent Omar Taylor. And if you are listening, that means you are listening on the one and only platform I really believe I'm going to push this year. At least for right now, mytsports.net. Go there, or you don't listen to it nowhere. Understand? So what we've done now with mytsports.net, just to revamp to you, just to give you a little recap in case you missed the first half of the show. During the live airing of the shows every single week at 8:07 p.m. to 9 something. It's an hour-long show, to 9:07. Then we will be airing live. Any other time, you can always just go on there and just catch the podcast. Any old show. So if you missed the show, if you missed the live airing of the show, this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is basically what I'm trying to tell you. I guess I should convey this a little bit more. I'm looking at myself in the camera. Look at this. I'm supposed to see some definition in the shoulder area. Yo, I'm excited. I think I'm gonna get about ready to go bust out some pull-ups. Look at it. Yo, Nat. Your boy looking sexy. Look, yo, you gotta see this upper profile pic. Work. Talking to that. That's basically Yoga of My Eye. YogaofMyEye.com. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out. Listen, if you're into yoga, if you're into meditating, if you're in the New York area, Brooklyn, Bronx, it doesn't matter. Listen, it is worth you taking the time out and coming down there. So check out Yoga of My Eye. Find out where this instructor is teaching at, and you go check her out. Regardless of what kind of flow you are into, I'm telling you, Yoga of My Eye has the right flow for your flow. Just saying. But back to these playoffs. Back to what happened in basketball. Man, and this is kind of what happened. Basketball took over the summer. Basketball took over the whole entire summer. And really, couldn't get enough. But what has really happened here, right? What has really happened here is that the East has become wide open. And what I am curious to pay attention to is over the next couple of years, which teams in the East are now going to really start making their push to be the best teams in the East. Because I don't care now. You understand? This is the thing. Everybody else was always thinking of the obstacle, the mountain hill, right? Was James. Oh, we can't pass James. He has the same dreams that went to LA. I'm talking about that James. I've been talking about that James the whole entire time. That we can't get over that mountain of a man. But this mountain of a man is going into the lion's den now. He's going right in, he's going to the jungle, to the Okay. So he's going right there, and he's just asking for more competition and more competition and more competition. He's basically asking to be bludgeoned to death by competition, while the East is just left open. So now, if you have a team in the East, so basically what I'm saying is that, okay, we already kind of know that Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, and Toronto, right? And let's leave Philly out for right now. But Boston, Toronto, and Philly have definitely been in the running, right? And then we have teams like Philly that we're curious to see if their late season run was a fluke or not. Because remember, they played a lot of very easy teams at the end of that season. So we're going to see if they could make that extra run. We're going to still put Toronto in there because Toronto traded DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. And I think that Kawhi Leonard is a better version of DeMar DeRozan, but then you add Danny Green. And Danny Green is one of the original like 3-and-D guys to win rings easily. Know what I mean?
I'll let me some Buster
Okay, maybe I shouldn't have recorded this first episode, but even more so. Okay, so let's get back. So if your team's like, so those teams were already at the top. So I want to see what these teams are going to do to try to push themselves over. Teams like Washington, let's see what they try to do. As we know, Miami always likes to look like they're contending, and they have a good culture down here. Who else is out there? Who else is out there? Who else is out there? See, like that's how thin it really starts to get. Like all the stuff we talking about, maybe this team has a chance, and this team has a chance, and now you really start to look at it, and you're talking about, listen, there are a few teams that has a rare opportunity. There are very few teams that have a rare opportunity to go ahead and now finally make it to a championship game because James is out of the East, and those teams really, like I said, Washington. So let's see how they start trying to improve themselves. Because they have a short window. Toronto, let's see what happens. They're not going to have Kawhi Leonard past this year. He's leaving to go to LA somewhere. And listen, if you team up Kawhi Leonard with Lance Stevenson, then you're guaranteeing yourself rings. I'm telling you now. You team up Lance Stevenson with Kawhi Leonard, you are talking rings. Rings on top of rings, on top of rings, on top of bling, on top of rings. Cha-ching. If you know what I'm saying.
Danger zone.
So the East is open. And because you understand, if your team isn't going all out, and we're not talking about the teams that are also working on still trying to develop young talent like the Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets and Atlanta. We're not talking about those teams. Those teams are trying. Those teams are going to develop and they're going to make their push for the next, within like the next three or 4 years. You understand? Like that's their push. Not this season, not next season, the season after that. I mean, when you say 3 years, kind of sounds far, but not this season, not next season, the season after that. That's where those teams' timeline is. Even Miami, I think, kind of needs to do a little revamping. Maybe not. But even them, you'll figure 3 years. I mean, like, they're staying semi-relevant now. And all those other teams, like, and it gives everybody time to come. Because you know what? James isn't there. So who is going to be that dominant person? It's not going to be a dominant person. It's going to be a dominant franchise. Boston already has a head start in front of everybody. Philly is right behind them. And I think Milwaukee is somewhere in between those two guys. Everybody else, they got to figure, what are you doing? Like, Washington should be the number 14 at least, minimum. But let's keep it moving on. Let's go take another. Is it time for another break? It is not time for another break. I'm hungry. I just got hungry for no reason. That's what happened. I figured, like, I don't know if I should have ate dinner before we did the podcast or not. But speaking of open, right? Like, let's get this. Speaking of the East being wide open. I had the opportunity to witness the Tiger effect. And can I tell you, it was kind of insane. And because I'm not gonna say I don't watch golf. Golf is not one of the things you'll catch me watching generally. Now, if I'm passing by it, if there's somebody interesting up, I may pause for a hole or so. So golf, I go to the bar, right? I go to one of my local watering holes, one of my favorite local watering holes, Tijuana Taxis, and I'm with a couple of friends, and we decide to have a drink, a couple of drinks, some food, do the grease and hops thing. And I remember that the Jets Atlanta game was on rewind or something like that, on repeat. I don't know what Masters is playing or what Open is going on, but it's the one that Tiger's in, and he was basically like in the top 3 for the majority of the tournament, chasing some guy named Kaska, whatever, Kvifka. I don't know his name, but I know Tiger was in the top 3. I'm gonna tell you the Tiger effect, right? I'm gonna tell you the Tiger effect. Watching the tournament, right? And now kind of being invested, like, oh, Tiger's up there. Let's see if Tiger can pull off another W, right? So now watching all of these shots, right? And now you're watching the guy that's number 1, the guy that's number 2, the guy that's number 4. You kind of pay attention to the top 5 because everybody's kind of close, possibly. And you're looking at it, and now all the shots, you're reacting, like you like legit, you're reacting, and like like oh my, like ooh, and like, you know what I mean, like you see him chipping into the rough, and everybody's like, oh, it sucks, you know what I mean, and then he gets it out of there and literally hits the pole, and everybody reacting, and we're there, and the funniest thing, this is when I realized, and I've never been one to buy into what is considered the Tiger effect, right? Never been one to really buy into it. Now, did I know that it exists? Yeah, I didn't know it exists because, listen, if Tiger isn't on, then listen, I'm barely even watching golf. Or listen, I don't think I've really watched golf since the last time Tiger was playing regularly. And let's not, or unless I was watching it at a friend's house, or like I said in past, I haven't like went to go seek out golf outside of Tiger. Sorry. Pardon me. I had to go take a little sippy sip of my lemonade. And listen, this is always going to be a staple. So if you know what that lemonade is, then you already know what time it is. It's peanut butter jelly. I got issues. Right? So I'm there, and we're at the bar. And we're reacting, right? They're reacting. The crowd is reacting to every shot. And even I'm kind of curious. I'm like, yo, why is everybody rushing after the golf ball like this? Like, don't these guys need like room to golf? And they're like, yeah, but people want to be as close to the ball so they can like get as close to seeing like that golfer golf when they got. I'm like, really? People are chasing down balls like that? I was like, this sounds like a Filipino whorehouse. You know what I mean? But it got crazy. Things got crazy. And I hear the head waitress, I don't know what to call the manager of the place. And she's over there talking to a couple of her girls. And I hear her plain as day go, is there a football game on over there? And I paused and I was cracking the fuck up because all I can think about is like, yo, this right here is the Tiger effect that they are talking about. This right here is what the industry wanted. This right here is what people was talking about was missing from golf. This buzz of Tiger being there and being so close that he is taking his shots at first place, that it is forcing the guy in first to be like, listen, man, like, I gotta step up because I can hear the footsteps of Tiger potentially coming back. And then to hear the young boys talk about, like, listen, man, like, we respect Tiger, but we ain't afraid of Tiger because, listen, man, we're a breed of Tiger. Like, nobody was working out like that. Like, remember, Tiger went and working out like an athlete. That's part of the reason that they said, like, what happened to Tiger. Tiger was out there Navy trained, working out like a full athlete. Basically, how somebody like a soldier like me used to work out back back in the days when he was a soldier. Like you push your body towards its to its limits, and those limits take a toll on you at times. And sometimes you just have to step back for a while and just allow everything to heal, and then realize what, everything is kind of healed, or as healed where it's gonna, or as healed as it's gonna get to. And now I'm just able to, and I'm just gonna be pushed forward. And talk about things being as healed as it's gonna get to. I'm kind of curious to see what's gonna happen with Chris Paul. I know we're talking about golf. I know we got to talk about Chris having Chris Paul. I hurt my hamstring a little before he did. At least a lot before he did. And mine's is still bothering me. Kind of curious how his is feeling and if he's going to be ready for the beginning of the season. We're going to talk more when we come back from this last commercial break. This is the Mighty Sports Podcast. I'm still your host, Donald Marthaler, and this is going to be a word from another one of our sponsors.
Let me put you on the game. Being taken advantage of isn't a game and it needs to stop. Aren't you tired of being ripped off by those other guys? Then head to multi-best video games and get the value you deserve from your games and gaming products. Games cost money. You shouldn't feel like you're just giving them away. So why continuously buy a membership for prices and deals that you should be giving anyway? Multi-best Games not only has great pricing and great trading deals, Multi-best has a wide variety of games with all next-gen systems on the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One series, as well as all your favorite old-school titles and systems, starting as early as Atari Nintendo to as current as PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And yes, that does include all of the PlayStation's Nintendo systems and Xboxes in between. They've been family-owned and operated for over 10 years, just off the intersection of 183rd and 7th Avenue in the Nurses Registry Plaza. That's directly located at 830 Northwest 183rd Street, Miami Gardens, Florida 33169. That's conveniently just 5 minutes from Sun Life Stadium, $7.90 the ticket, and let's not forget Tootsie's Adult Entertainment Center. Multi-best games, where you save more so you can play more.
And we are back to the Mighty Sports Podcast. I am still your host, Donald Marthaler. And I thank you guys for still listening. As always, for taking your time out to listen to me. Whether you're listening to the re-air of the podcast, whether you're catching me live on the website, mytsports.net, or if you found another way to listen to me, like I say, do TuneIn Radio. Like, yeah, there's still a way to listen to me there. But you still gotta catch me live at 8:07 every Wednesday night, right here. This is where all the magic happens. This is where we make it do what it do, baby. You know what I mean? This is what we do that at. Let's continue. Let's continue this talk, right? Let's continue this talk because I want to move on from Tiger. I want to move on from Tiger because, like I said, Tiger making a comeback the way he did isn't, like I said, is just one of the many exciting things that happened this summer. And one thing that I want to talk about that's really near and dear to my heart. Very, very near and dear to my heart. Right? Because like I said, we're in the last segment of the show, so we're gonna take some personal time out for me. And listen. If you're listening to the podcast right now, right? Let me get this out of the way, right? Some breaking news, right? Let's get some breaking news out of the way. Let's get some breaking news out of the way, right? We will be coming back for the third edition of the Women's League, right? So we will be starting that up soon. If you're looking for the draft, just know that draft will be happening during the weekend of September 1st and September 2nd. We will figure out what day is going to be best for everybody. Pick a time frame, whether it be at night, whether it be during the day, whether it be in the afternoon. You understand? Like, we are going to find some time. Listen, if you have to give up your Saturday night and it's 9 p.m. at night, then listen, this is what we do, but we're going to find a way to do it. Understand? Guys, it's going to be the same exact thing. Listen, nothing happens until the week before the season starts. You understand? The week that the season starts, that's when we'll do the podcast. That's when we'll do the draft. You guys will start getting your... You guys will start getting your notification soon. So the notifications are going to start coming in this next week, in this week to come. Also, I am looking for some new candidates. I am looking for some new recruits. unfortunately, listen, man, my brother, like, he don't take this shit seriously. So I had to kick my own brother out. I'm like, that's how serious it gets, right? So we're looking for a couple more candidates in the men's league. One or two. JJ, I'm coming after you. Also, we're gonna be looking for a couple of more female candidates, right? Gotta kick a couple of them out. As you know, the women's league has a cash prize, and the men's league may have a physical prize this year. Guys, pay attention. I'm gonna be coming to you for actually some money, for some money this year, because we're gonna put it towards a prize that I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna like. So let's move on. That right there, folks. Right there, that right there may be the only portion of the show where we talk about fantasy football. Listen, we'll continue. We got time. Just know. So, listen, for everybody that's listening, right now, as you know, if you don't know, you should know. Number one most important position on the board is the running back. And like I said, give us to next week. We're going to come back. We'll be back after these messages. I'm your host. No, but seriously, give it some time. And the next couple of weeks' shows are going to be very heavy fantasy football filled. Where you're going to be getting all of your fantasy football information. You're going to be getting some draft strategies. You understand? It will be fantasy football heavy leading up into the start of the season and the draft. You guys are going to get all of the tips that you need. And listen, if you listened to the show last year, go find some of these episodes last year. It's good because not for nothing. A lot of the basic advice is going to be the basic advice. But you know what? We got to start everything off from scratch. So we're going to give you that basic advice all over again. Just saying. So if you have somebody that you want to recommend to come play in one of the leagues and they want to give you one of those excuses, I don't know how to play, I don't know what I'm doing a lot. You have to remember, this is actually the reason why I started a whole entire women's league, because that's what all of you said to me, and I eliminated all of those issues for you guys. So now tell this next person. Also, you have the podcast. They can always listen to everything here so they can find out more. More is always better. Now. Let's get to some seriousness. This past weekend, right? This past weekend, I had the honor once again to be the ring announcer for Platinum Pro Wrestling as they had their summer meltdown. And man, was it an extravagant show. It was a bomb burn. It was phenomenal. I mean, the roof came off of the place. Actually, I kind of hope the roof would have came off because it was hot. When they say it was summer meltdown, I mean, I saw women that came in there with makeup on and left with icing on their hands. I mean, literally, like it was just. Can I be honest with you? Like between me, you, and the MyT Sports Network and the MyT Sports people, I was literally sweating out my ass. Like the cards I had in my back pocket were soaked from the amount of sweat I was producing, and I'm talking about just within the first 15 minutes of me being there. But I got a good workout too, though. I got a good workout. I got into a pull-up contest with a wrestler, and he beat me when he got to the one-arm pull-ups. Not to say that I can't do one-arm pull-ups. The fact that my arms were my hands, and everything, my body, it was just too sweaty, and I couldn't get a grip on anything anymore. So you have this round. MDC, but know that I will be coming for you. So there was a slew of matches, right? I'm sorry, I said MDC. It's DMC. There was a slew of matches out there, right? And first match of the evening, we had Boone the Gator King. It was a tag team match with Boone the Gator King and David King versus the starter, Josh Grady and Bud Heavy. And listen, if it sounded like there was a lot of heavyweights in that ring, there was a lot of heavyweights in that ring. Boone the Gator King coming into the ring at over 300 pounds himself, and his friend David King was no small feat. I mean, they came in at over 600 pounds. And the starter, Josh Grady and Bud Heavy, while the starter is a physical physique of a man. He's only 2% body fat, and he is every bit of 250 pounds. I mean, I looked at him and I was like, wow, you are just a white LeBron. And his boy Bud Heavy, well, let's just say that he is heavy, and it's because of Bud's. And listen, he won't wrestle, and if it wasn't for the Buds, he wouldn't be wrestling as good as he does. I'm just saying, that's who Bud Heavy is. And folks, in this massive, this colossal collision of heavyweights, Boone, the Gator King, and David King came away victorious over the starter Josh Gordon and Bud Heavy. Our next match after that was the person I got into a pull-up contest with, Dante Martavius Carter, DMC, as he took on Santaria Cortez. And folks, your boy DMC came away with a victory over Santaria Cortez. Listen, DMC, I haven't seen him lose too many matches since I've been since I've been with PPW. Actually, the only time I've seen DMC lose a match actually was against the heavyweight champion C.J.O. Doyle. So that says something about DMC and where he is headed, because everybody else you put in front of him, this man takes out. That matchup was followed by the lovely ladies of wrestling, Haley Lane versus former champion Rocky Radley. Actually, I'm sorry. Actually, no, that was right. And no, I apologize. Rocky Radley is your current Diamond Division champion. And why Haley Lane, as I call her, Howley Lane, because she was yellow. Like, whew, she a yellow. She couldn't quite pull it off when it came to the champion, the lovely champion, the queen of Latina strong style, Rocky Radley, who also happens to be a personal favorite of my munchkin. So, listen, Rocky, listen, holla at your boy. If you want to head a night up in town, I'm here. Holla at the ring announcer. I'm always here. Listen, man. I know.
Danger zone.
That's how it be sometimes. How much time left do we have in this podcast today? We got 3 minutes. We about to get into the home stretch, and we didn't even talk about SummerSlam. We didn't even talk about WWE SummerSlam. You know what? WWE SummerSlam did not hold a candle to Platinum Pro Wrestling's Summer Meltdown. And can I tell you that there's been a bunch of people that I've seen already. Like, listen, 205 Live, Sean Maluda was here, and I've called his match in Platinum Pro Wrestling. Also, don't forget, oh my God, I'm actually forgetting his name. Because I'm remembering the guy that he went up against, Ricky Martinez. You know what I mean? On your July 31st show, went up against the guy, and both of those guys have been in PPW. I've had the honor of calling Ricky Martinez's matches in PPW. Now WWE calls him Ricky Martinez, but when he's down here in Miami, he is Mr. 305. You understand? Mr. All the Way Up. He is the Platinum Division the Platinum Pro Wrestling champion. Mr. All the Way Up himself, Max Stardom. I don't know what they did to him over there, but that boy is good. And like I said, Sean Maluda, I understand? And even the guy that you currently have right now in the championship contender. You understand that? They're all from PPW. So let's continue, because this may be one of the times where we just go a little bit over. Right. So our next match of the evening, right? Because we had number 3, we had number 4. So it was Gas House, Bruce Worley, and I told you Rocky Riley came out victorious, right? Oh yeah, I told you. Yeah, I told you. Yeah, she had a highlight.
So after that, it was Gas House Bruce Burley taking on the Sun Tan Superman. And folks, Gas House came away with another vicious victory. Now listen, Gas House is a bruiser. Gas House is a bruiser. Don't let his mouth fool you. He is a bruiser. Now, is he, you know, the brawler from Philly? No. I don't think he quite compares to him. But the brawler from Philly, he's in a different class. And we'll talk about him in a second. Our next match of the evening, was MDK versus Cha Charlie. And listen, it was an honor of me to be able to call one of Cha Charlie's matches. Right before I started doing the ring announcing, I actually was able to watch Cha Charlie perform locally. So to be able, within 5 months later, let's go less than 6 months later, to be able to turn around and actually be able to call one of his matches. Listen, man, some things call full circle. I so love this gig, and I can't wait to be able to get the opportunity to do more. Man, this puts a strain on the throat. But listen, I wouldn't have anything else in the world to have strain my throat than to be able to yell on the top of my lungs to announce a fighter to the ring so that they can put on their craft in front of a live audience. So after the Gas House fight, after the MDK fight, we had a triple threat match where it was badass Matt Del Rey versus, as I just mentioned, Sean Maluda. Yes, this kid is traveling because he was just on 205 Live versus Jake St. Patrick. And listen, if I just told you that Sean Maluda was on 205 Live, you best believe that when he gets here, he is pulling off W's. And that's exactly what he did in this triple threat match. He pulled off a W against the badass Matt Del Rey, against Jake St. Patrick, and come off victorious. And listen, Sean Maluda is another one. And you don't see him lose quite often. And if there's a lighter division championship, I think that he needs to be in the running to get himself on his hands on one of those. Our next match was a Starlight Division match where you had the challenger Ellie trying to make her name for herself versus former champion Dynamite Diddy. Now, if you remember, Dynamite Diddy lost her championship a month ago to the 200 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, the one and only Jenna Van Muscles. So Ellie was really going after the top of the mountain when she said that she wanted to try to make a name for herself. Unfortunately, she may have bit off a little bit more than she can chew and lost a couple of teeth in the process, as she lost in her match versus Dynamite Diddy. That was followed by a grueling tag team match where the pride of Guadalajara, the Guadalupe Brothers, took on your tag team champions, your double division champions, Cash and Flash, with Fabulous Frank, two members of the establishment. And as the establishment does, those two guys, Cash and Flash, they found a way to come away with another victory over the Guadalupe Brothers. Listen, Guadalupe Brothers, they show some promise. They have some nice teamwork out there. You can see that they have a long way to go, especially against a veteran team like Cash and Flash, who not only have time on their hand, against on their side. They have experience. They have the cohesiveness. You understand? They also have the manager, Fabulous Frank, and when all else fails, they also have your platinum weight champion CJ O'Doyle as a backup. Yes, folks, the Lion Heart Brawler from Philly may or may not have gotten involved in that match, but it pays off because when the Lion Heart Brawler from Philly has to defend his title against Omar Amir, then it would prove that his loyalty or his affiliation with the establishment would come in handy as both hands watch the other and one hand watch the other and both watch the face. And that's what it goes on the establishment. As CJ O'Doyle was able to maintain his championship against Omar Ali. And there may or may not have been some interference or distraction, I should say, from Cash and Flash. But they were quickly negated by the Guadalupe brothers, who were just victims to the same kind of distractions before that, as they came down quickly to assist Omar Ali, which basically ended up with the Guadalupe brothers and Cash and Flash all being ejected from the ring. But we forgot about Frank. And in a moment, just like that, it's 1, 2, 3. CJ O'Doyle pins Omar Ali to maintain his championship. And then, folks, we had our main event of the evening. It was a win or go home match between two former friends. And let's be clear, it was only win or go home for Frank. So basically, sorry, not for Frank, for Larry Lane. So if Larry lost, that means that Larry would have to retire. Now, if you remember, a couple of months ago, Larry Lane and Chris Charger were tag team partners. And they were going up against Cash and Flash. And it was on this night, where Cash and Flash joined the establishment, or even more so, the friendship between Chris Charger ended, and Larry Lane ended. Because remember, that led to them squaring off one-on-one, where the stipulation was, if Larry Lane won, then we were going to continue to have our commissioner. But if he lost, I'm sorry, I don't think Commissioner Mr. Montoya, that is. But if they lost, this is where Stud Johnson will become the new commissioner of PPW. And it was here, and it was there that Stud became champion after some low tactics by Chris Charger, which now led us to today, on this past Saturday, where we had a retirement match, where Larry Lane said, you know what? I'm tired of your cheating. I'm tired of your ways. I'm tired of your B-ass, Chris. You know you can't beat me one-on-one. You know you can't beat me in a fair fight. You know you can't beat me when it matters. So let me make it matter. If I lose, I retire. Folks, another guy that has gone back and forth between WWE and PPW, folks. Yes, former WWF superstar Larry Lane took on Chris Charger. Larry Lane was actually lucky enough to have Mr. Montoya come out and show some support for him. And Larry Lane came away with the victory over Chris Charger. And after he came away with the victory, he was greeted by his peers in the back as they hoisted Larry Lane on his shoulders in celebration to have that legend still fight amongst them, still have his presence in the locker room, and still have him be part of PPW, who is just a cut above the rest. Folks, that's the show. That's the show. If you want to know what happened with WWE SummerSlam, you're just gonna have to go look it up. Sorry, you're not gonna be able to get it here. What I really had wanted to do was really get into some of these polls, and you know what? We may take a quick bonus minute to get into some of these polls because you know what? Some of these polls are going active now, and some of these polls were a direct result of what came through in the summer. So I wanted to point some of these things out in your direction for you guys, right? We asked you guys, who did you enjoy losing most between LeBron James, James Harden, Kevin Durant, and the Cavs? And you guys, an astonishing 40% said LeBron James. Now, we also did some polls so we can determine who we thought was going to win the AFC East, the AFC West, North, and South, as well as the NFC North, West, East, and South. And let us give you those numbers really quick as we are going into the Power Hour section of the show. I mean, you asked for it. You the ones that was like, yo, give me some money. Give me some money. We want more season 4. 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 Like you guys said that. That wasn't my word, that was you. So let's give you these polls. Because these polls are also running into the polls that are currently running right now. Right, so who you thought were going to win in the AFC East between the Bills, the Finns, the Jets, or the Cheetahs? 40%. Astonishing 40%. You know, demanding, commanding, dominating 40% said they thought the Cheaters were going to be Cheaters and come away with the AFC East. Now, when asked me who's going to win the AFC West between the Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, and Raiders, you guys picked the Chiefs. And where is this original paper? Because you know what? I have an original paper somewhere that also outlines, the picks that I made. Because listen, for the most part, we pretty much were in tune. Season 4, season 4, season 4, season 4, season 4. Ha! Oh man. I know if you're listening to that. I know you see it coming. Okay, folks. We have a minute and a half before the show ends, right? So between the Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, and Raiders, even a bigger percentage thought that the Chiefs were gonna come away with a victory over. Sorry, like, this really makes me so. I love me some Busta Rhymes. I said it last time. 42% of the people thought that the Chiefs were gonna be able to win the AFC West. Now, when it comes to the AFC North, between the Bengals, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers, an even higher percentage than that thought that they were going to win, and that was 50% thought that the Steelers were going to win. Right? And when it comes to the AFC South, between the Texans, the Colts, the Jags, and the Titans, this is where we differed between the people. But listen, this is the people's vote. These aren't my choices. These are what you, the people, voted on. We put this up in the poll. Hundreds of thousands of people voted, and you are the ones that picked these numbers. You picked these teams, and we're going to ride this out and see who comes out on top until we find out who you guys have at the preseason, before the season starts, who you guys believe is going to win the NFL championship. Who is going to win the Super Bowl? So in the NFC, let's start with the North.
So in the NFC North, we have the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings. Now the Lions didn't get any votes whatsoever. As listen, there weren't any teams in the AFC that didn't get any votes. At least somebody always thought that somebody in the AFC at least had a chance. And there, they don't think the Lions even have a chance. Lions got 0% of the votes, as the Packers came away with 56% of the votes, and that is the highest percentage of votes for any team in this poll. Right? In the NFC West, I lied. That quickly, I lied. I lied. She got me. Okay, so in the NFC West, right, we have the Rams, the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. Folks. With 2/3 of the votes. Everybody thought the Rams were gonna come away and win the West. Now listen, I know this will be hard to try to figure out who would everybody have voted for the wild cards, right? But you know what? We're not gonna do the wild cards. That's just too much unpredictability in there. We're just gonna stick with the 4 teams that you think is going to win these divisions, and then we'll move straight from there. We'll future project. In the NFC East, we got the Giants, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Washington. And folks, 45% of you guys thought that it was going to be the Eagles. This is another area that we were differing at. Now, so let me let you know. So 2 areas we were wrong at that we differed at. In the AFC South, I picked the Texans, who came away with the same amount of votes as the Colts, actually, with 23% of the votes. And in the NFC, I'm kind of a homer with this one, and I went with the Giants. The Giants have a lot of weapons, and listen, man, if they are as successful as their pieces assume that they can be, then they will go to the top and nowhere else. They have to make the playoff. I don't see the Giants not making the playoffs. But like I said, they do have the Eagles in that division. And listen, as we all know, a good percentage of the teams that make the playoffs one year don't make it the next year. So we have to look at all of these teams. And you know what? We're going to do this as well, too. We're going to put out a poll for that, too, pretty soon. All right, so not only will we have the poll to figure out who we think is going to win the AFC East, and the AFC and the NFC, we're also going to put a poll out for out of all of the teams that made the playoffs, who do you think is least likely to repeat? Because that's where we start our first steps of determining, hey, who's not going to be there? And who do we think we're going to put in there now? That's how you come up with a couple of your wild cards, but we're not going to do that wild card. Let me see right now. You guys are tripping. And then the AFC South, between the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Bucks. And did I mention that the 49ers didn't get any votes either in the NFC West? And the reason I bring that up because the Carolina Panthers didn't get any votes. The Tampa Bay Bucks, sorry, that almost broke me. The Tampa Bay Bucks, who don't even have a quarterback for the first 4 seasons of the game, because he's over there Donald Trumping women in an Uber, or he's over there Donald Trumping Uber drivers. Yes, that's what it's called when you grab women by their pussy against their will. It is being called the Donald Trumping, because that's how our president said it's okay to act. So now you have football players out here grabbing Uber drivers by the pussy. This is what happens, Mr. President. Right, so we have the Falcons, the Panthers, the Saints, and the Bucks. Right, and the Panthers got no votes, while the Saints got 50% of the votes. Right, and a couple of the polls that are out there. Are you surprised that you haven't heard more trade talks around Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward? Listen, 22% of you said yes, 22% of you said no, 28% said you're not surprised about anything anymore, and 28% of you just love polls. You know what? Fuck all of you. How about that? Fuck all of you. What kind of numbers are those? Like I feel like you guys did it on purpose. I love you guys. I feel like you guys did it on purpose. Right? As you guys know, before we left, we had the World Cup pick between France and Croatia. 86% of the voters had France picked. And like I said, we are going to be running a poll pretty soon. As we said, we're going to be running 2 polls. If James wins a 3rd championship with a 3rd franchise, are you ready to put him in the category of at least Kobe? And who do you think are going to win the AFC? As we're about to leave the show soon.
Seriously, this time. Who's gonna win the AFC? Like you guys had to figure that the first show was gonna go over, right? Like there was no way possible after being gone a whole entire summer. Because I'm really cutting things out. Like we could really go on for an hour and a half. Like you guys realize that we could go for 2 hours. We could go for 3. We could go for 4. Okay, we can't go for 4 because I've only paid for 3 hours a day. You understand? Like we will just have to continue this the next day. You understand? So we can do all of this. We can do whatever you like. You understand? I can keep going. I'm just figuring like, hey, hey, maybe easy on hey. Hey, look what you've done. I figure let me just be easy on my audience, Let me not bludgeon you to death. With 4 hours of me spitting poetically on wax. You know what I mean? You don't need that. Or maybe you do. Dun, dun, dun. And in the AFC, who do you guys think is going to win the AFC? Is it going to be the Packers? Is it going to be the Rams? Is it going to be the Giants? Or is it going to be the Saints? And we said in the AFC, we have the Cheaters, the Chiefs, the Steelers, and the Jags. Those are going to be the 8 choices. Next week, right, we'll have our answer. Right, we'll reveal it live right here on the air as this poll is going to be ending right before the show airs. And then, after that, obviously, there's only one thing left to do. And that is determining who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl. But we already brought it down to 8 teams. These are at least the 8 teams that you guys have thought are guaranteed to make the playoffs. That's basically what this is right here. This is gonna go out right there up on the wall. You gotta be for me to reference for the whole entire year. This is who you guys have thought is gonna guarantee to make the playoffs. It looks a lot like last season, give or take a couple of things. Cheetahs are still there, Chiefs are still there, Jags are still there, Steelers are still there. And did I say the Giants made it out? Oh my goodness. I don't know how I got the Giants in there. This is how much I thought the Giants, I had the Giants picked. It was supposed to be the Eagles, Packers, Rams, Eagles, and the Saints. But this is the way around things. Like maybe the Giants become a wild card team. Maybe the Falcons are a wild card team. And these are the things you got to think about. You still have the Vikings in. Maybe the Vikings are a wild card team. What about the Seahawks? These are the things that are going to have us worried. And if the Jags are going to make it, maybe the Titans are that wild card team in the AFC. Now, maybe the Ravens are. Who knows? Things are open. But more importantly that things are open, things are about to shut down. We are officially done here. Thank you guys for listening. This has been the MyT Sports Podcast. I have been your host, Alan Thomas Taylor. Listen, I told you we ain't gonna keep you guys here any much longer. You guys had to figure, like I said, it's the first episode. We're gonna go a little bit over, so we're a little bit over. Have your fun. We'll be right back here next week at 8:07 p.m. That's next Wednesday, Hump Day. Glad you guys can listen. If you're listening, I hope you're listening right here on the website as I continue to keep revamping the website to make sure that anywhere where you go on the website that you would have the opportunity at least to be able to hear the podcast as it plays. So that's definitely one. Number 2, don't forget what we say. Don't forget what we say. In the words of Wale, let the optimism of tomorrow be your foundation for today. Thank you guys for listening. As we always say, stay tuned, stay blessed, and don't ever, for what reason whatsoever, ever stress. I am Talented Mandela. This has been the first episode of the 4th season of the MyT Sports Podcast.
Sorry, boys. All the stitches in the world can't sew me together again. Lay down. Lay down. Oh, always knew I'd make a stop there. But a lot later than a whole gang of people thought. Last call for drinks. Bars closing down. Sun's out. Where we going for breakfast? Don't want to go far. Rough night. Tired, baby. Tired.
MyT